מחכים גם. We believe in just-in-time planning for microphones. Can we do something about turning the lights a little bit down? We'll try. Okay. Thank you everyone for staying in the afternoon. We are going to talk a little bit about global commercialization and entrepreneurship. We all know how important it is, how challenging it is, and how actually when we have such success as we've had over the last year, we believe it's actually the time to rethink what we're doing, learn from the successes we've had, but see how we actually do better in the future. So we have absolutely an outstanding panel today that I think will allow us to think and dream and look forward and also learn from experience from some of the best people around. So thank you everyone for being here. I'll let each of you introduce yourselves, and I think we'll just jump in. We'll try to keep things short and quick, and if we have time, we'll then open it up to questions from the audience. If you have smart, very tough, challenging questions for this outstanding panel, please come up at the end and ask your questions. So let's just go and start. Mahmoud, with you, please, each of you introduce yourself and tell us briefly, all in less than a minute, where healthcare entrepreneurship will take us in 10 years. Mahmoud, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
For being here.
Thanks a lot, my friend. I'm Mahmoud Khweis, CEO of Jinnovate. Jinnovate is the Jerusalem Innovation Center in East Jerusalem, established recently with a generous fund from the Israeli Innovation Authority and USAID. So we started only a few months ago, and I believe that collaboration is essential. We established this in partnership with Shiba, Sharet Tzedek, and Takwin Venture Capital. I believe that in 10 years from now, the AI will take over, not 100%, but at least the AR and VR will help in medicine a lot, especially in training. I believe that pharma will be also developed to a stage that each person will have his own drug suitable to his genetics and so on. Many others in the future.
And we'll have AI asking questions in panels and answering them in panels, I believe. Dalia, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Dalia Levin-Blumenthal, former CEO and co-founder of Belkin Vision, which was acquired by Alcon in July for $466 million.
I think that deserves a round of applause. Congratulations, Dalia.
I'm a mother of 5, and as for the question about 10 years from now, I can't think even about later than 6 months from now, so I'll skip this question.
Okay. Go ahead. Professor Varda Lieberman.
Hi, my name is Varda Lieberman. I'm the rector, the provost of Reichman University, and proudly head and lead the MBA in healthcare innovation, which about 8 years ago, we initiated it in collaboration. I founded it in collaboration with Itzik Reis and Eyal Zindichman, and I'll speak about it a bit later. As of, what's the future, they say, there was a saying that it's very difficult to predict, especially the future, so I don't dare. But of course, the AI and the digital and everything, I just would say very briefly that a few weeks ago, I've been to a conference, which I really was very skeptical when I went there, that dealt with longevity. And I was quite shocked to see what a momentum it is. So if it used to be all the rich people that paid a lot of money just to live longer, it all of a sudden really attracted people, really serious researchers like physicians and biologists and all kind of very highly prestige researchers dealing with it. So who knows? Maybe we'll even, not only they are trying just to stop or slow the processes, and in fact they were talking there about reversing them, so let's hope.
That's something to hope for, yeah. Professor Varda Shalev, thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Varda Shalev. I'm a managing partner in Team8, which is a VC in a foundry model. We'll talk more about it. About the future, since I was the first one to found a medical informatics department here in Israel, when I went to study medical informatics, everybody said, nobody there will be no physician that will sit in front of a computer and work. And you see what happens. So we are all sitting against the computer. We have gained a lot, but we have lost a lot. And today we are burnt out. And when I sit in my clinic, I still see patients. I say, who built it? Is it myself? You know, how did I do it? We need something else. And I believe that LLMs and generative AI are going to change the picture and to bring us back the joy of treating patients.
Dr. Ronen Kreisman, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm Ronen Kreisman, the brand new CEO of Remote. Thank you very much for having me here.
Congratulations on the new position.
Thank you. So I came from some time with the tech transfer ecosystem of the Weizmann Institute, where I was in Yeda for quite a few years, and then started working on the new incubator of the Weizmann Institute. Also had some work with Shiva there. I think, if I try to be optimistic, so I think that the future brings to us much more innovations, many more products, many more companies. So I really try to be optimistic here. And I think that all the people that sit here in this panel and in the audience are part of that. So we try to really go forward and look at that.
Great. Thank you very much. I hope you agree with me that this is absolutely an outstanding team. And what we'll do now is we'll ask each of the participants one question, and then we'll do more of a panel discussion. So first of all, first question to you, Professor Varda Shalev. Now you're part of Team 8. Team 8 has been amazingly successful in building companies in the cyber field, but cyber is easy. The real thing is medical. Now, can the same outstanding model you have in Team 8 really work in healthcare, or do you need to change it?
Yeah, thank you. So first, my partner, managing partner that works with me is Asaf Mashari. He's a cyber person. He always tells me, it's so easy cyber. Why did I go to healthcare? It's so difficult. So I agree, it's a lot more complicated in health. But our model is not to find solutions. I meet a lot of people, they tell me, I have a solution to this, I have a solution to that. We are looking for problems. Okay, so we are looking for problems, but in cyber, you can look for a problem, and you know that if you have a problem, there will be a demand for the solution of this problem. In health, it's completely different. You are looking for a problem, you might find a good pain, but nobody is going to pay for this pain. Who cares? So we added some steps now when we develop and think about a problem, how to deal with health. So generally, we have two milestones. First milestone is to validate the problem, to see that really what we think that it is a problem, everybody in the domain, and our market is the US mainly, thinks that it's a problem. That's the first one. We do it with a village of stakeholders, like 100 stakeholders from different organizations. The second one is to see that the solution is a good solution, that somebody is going to pay for it and it's a good solution, etc. We added for health a milestone 0. And we're first looking to see whether in this problem there is a need. There is somebody that will pay for it. It's not enough to solve a problem. And in health, it's a lot more complicated. And by the way, in cyber, you have the CISO. You sell to the CISO, you have one customer, it's very, easy. In healthcare, everybody understands it in health. So when I have a patient, usually they tell me, I am half a physician. So I tell them, you're under the average. Usually they're 70%. So everybody feels that he understands. So the CEO wants to buy, and sometimes it's the CFO, sometimes it's the CMO. It's very difficult to analyze who is the real customer. So those are the differences that we are looking at.
Great. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. Now we'll turn to you, Dalia. You headed one of the most successful exits in the past few years. Again, congratulations. It's a journey, I think, of 13 years or a little less. Share with us one key learning that I think some of the audience here can learn from you, from your experience.
Avner, I want to share 3.
Oh, wow, even better. Three for the price of one.
Maybe first, I won't do it long. First is an exit is not a purpose. It's a mean to take your technology and make it accessible to many more doctors and patients. I never woke up in the morning and said, what do I do today to achieve an exit? Because it diverts your focus and it's not what you're looking for. Second is, when I was a young CEO, I was told I have to prepare a business plan, a business model. And I asked myself, why? My goodness. I mean, someone would hopefully acquire the company. They know how to do it much, much better than me. But with the years and when young CEOs come and ask me, I tell them, listen, let's say your technology works 100%. Is it viable? Is it sustainable? Can you actually sell? So today I understand that the first question should be, what's the business model? What's the business plan? And surprisingly, even the strategic companies actually may adopt your business plan and business model. And third is it's all about relationship. I'm a person by nature who loves people. I trust people. I think people are good. I'm not suspicious, and I think that's a key to lead a successful startup and to be able to manage negotiations. That's my 3 points for now.
Thank you. I hope people took notes because I think they're very good points. Thank you very much. Well, and then you actually, it's not you, but Ramot, and I take credit for your predecessors, right? Led the creation of Belkin and worked with Sheba on that. And tell us a little bit, what your thoughts, that was 10 or 11 years ago. Obviously things changed since then. What has changed? And your vision now as an incoming CEO, how you're going to do things differently?
Yes, so we've seen a lot of change. So it's a little bit difficult for me to say how I would handle things differently because I was not around in the last 10 years with Tel Aviv University. But I think we've seen many changes in the commercialization ecosystem, in the way universities and academia commercializes their assets. If a decade ago or a little bit more than that, we would usually see IP that is mostly patent-based. We would usually see big companies, corporates, reaching out to universities and taking licenses from them. So these things have largely changed since then. The ecosystem has become much more complex. I think that the startup ecosystem has evolved. We've seen a lot of the key vehicle to commercialize techs from academia over this decade, a little bit even before that, were startups, like the one we were talking about now. But the entire approach to tech transfer, even the name tech transfer has changed to innovation, to commercialization, to many different other names. I think the approach has changed, and even the big corporations, the big companies, the risk structures became different, and they started building vehicles, platforms for open innovations, for doing things differently, both with academia and with other stakeholders. So this is, I think, it's a big issue to talk about. We don't have time for the entire, it could be a whole lecture. Regarding how I see my goal as the new CEO of Remote, so basically I would want to adapt to this new environment. I would want to, and I plan, to enhance the entire value chain of commercialization from campus, from academia, all the way to the market and to new companies and to new ventures. There are a few aspects there that I really believe in, and I think I'm looking into enhancing them and working on them. So the first would be, the first link of the chain would be how we work with the campus, how we source innovations, how we source technologies from the campus and work with our faculty to do that. Then how we add value these innovations, to this very, very embryonic IP, how we mature this IP and how we make it a little bit more palatable to the market. The next step would be working with the market very closely to understand the needs and to understand, as we said before here, to understand the market needs and to connect the solutions to actual needs, actual pains the market has, and then the deal-making mechanisms that should focus on sustainable assets that can really add value to the very early innovation, and then following up on these assets and working and helping the companies, helping and working with the companies in order to achieve, to reach their achievements, to help in any way that we can. So this is my approach, and I think it contains many different aspects, but the entire mission is to really have the end in mind and to look at commercialization as a way to reach impact, both financially to the university, to the inventors, to people that work in these companies, etc., but also to reach impact that is basically new products, new companies, and a lot of course, success to the local and global society. So that's the idea. It's a little bit vague, but
thank you.
Yeah.
That's great, and it connects a little bit with what Dalia said about the exit not being the objective, and also the commercialization is not the objective, but the impact. Mahmoud, we'll turn to you. Again, thank you for being here. One of the things I love about health tech innovation is that it transcends geographic and national boundaries, and you're a great example of that, and I would really love for you to share with us very briefly the work you're doing at Jinnovate in East Jerusalem.
Yes, thank you very much. I will start with the two phrases that I heard, which is the market need and the market, starting from the market, and innovation. We're located in East Jerusalem. We're located in a market that lacks innovation. We have 7 hospitals, and the 7 hospitals, none of them is conducting any research activities or innovation activities. So therefore, the market need is there, but not to use the market, but to impact the market, as you were saying, Doctor. So in order to impact that market, we thought that we need to bring that innovation center to be centralized and to serve all these 7 hospitals in partnership with the Israeli innovation ecosystem. Why? Because we have a success on the Israeli side with Sheba, with Sha'ar Tzedek, with Dalia, with many, like even startup nations. So we have a success here. We have a model that works. So I wasn't an inventor. I only transferred the technology from one geographical area into a second geographical area in order to enhance the ecosystem. Now, the added value that we have in the market is that we have high rate or high numbers of medicine graduates. The hospitals are graduating lots of people, but at the same time, lots of healthcare people, less of health tech people. So we try to work on the mindset in order to bring those healthcare people into the health tech mindset, so we can also impact the community by starting startups in East Jerusalem and supporting those startups, connecting them to Israel, through Israel to the whole world, and act as an anchor between the Arab world and the Israel, because we have this advantage that our location is the real advantage, that we can build bridges to bring people together.
I think that's definitely what we all would agree we need these days. Thank you very much, Mahmoud. Professor Lieberman, I think you just landed in Israel 3 hours ago, if I understand correctly. I think connects to what Mahmoud just said about the number of graduates. It all goes to, or starts with education. And the obvious question is, can you teach entrepreneurship, or is it something you're born with? Tell us your thoughts a little bit.
Well, it's a complex question, interesting but complex. And you need to really break down what it means to be an entrepreneur and what is it, entrepreneurship. Now, of course, so like for example, creativity, I doubt if you can really teach, so it's not easy. And probably there are others. And in fact, when Professor Khweis and Professor Zimmerman approached me and asked to initiate this MBA, I was skeptical that we can teach innovation and entrepreneurship. But in hindsight, actually we do, because there are many, so of course, as I said, creativity or other things you can't teach. You are either born with it or not, and probably most people that go to decide to be entrepreneurs, there is some kind of selection bias, not totally, but some. But skills and tools you can certainly teach. Like you said, to know that, to have a bright and great idea, but not be able to write the business plan or not to. So first of all, you can teach the terminology. You need to know the terms and everything. You need to know, that it's important which team you pick. You need to know how the business plan be said, and there are many, many tools that you can teach. And what we find out that we really do it, in fact, the session after us, we should stay, is of two, Dr. Ashkenazi and Michal Zinger from Sheba, who are students of this program, and none of them beforehand, before they started the program, they didn't plan to be entrepreneurs. So yes, you can teach, and in fact, this program, and let me tell a bit about the program, because I'm proud of it, but it's also important to know what we do. So of course we teach an MBA because we think that in order to manage in the healthcare system, you need to know, to have tools of managing in general. In fact, it's more complex and not less to run a hospital or any other company. But we do teach that. We teach some basics of global healthcare. The program is global. And the idea was, and in fact it's like what I just described about the longevity session that I was, the idea is to put in the same class all the key players of the ecosystem, not just physicians, but it's physicians and entrepreneurs and engineers and the data people and the pharma people and et cetera, lawyers, everything. In fact, this year we even have an architect sitting in the class. And in fact, it really has three main focuses. So first of all, it's what we teach them. As we say, we teach them all the tools. Secondly, it's what we feel that the peer learning, if you put senior people from completely different professions, but in the ecosystem. By the way, we even accept people that are not in the ecosystem, but want to enter it. So like people from high-tech, or we just had the head of Mamram in the IDF that joined the class because he decided to use his skills in the healthcare ecosystem. So you put all these people, the peer learning is just as important than what we teach them. And then, of course, the networking. You get to know, so physicians used to speak with physicians, and now they all of a sudden really sit and work in teams with other professionals, and that really makes an amazing chance. So I'm kind of convinced because they have, besides the studies, they have a hands-on practicum from day one till the end. They each choose either a product track or a process track, but in both they do innovation, study together, and we do have like many startups that came out of it. So all in all, I believe that you can teach not all of it, but you can teach a lot. And I believe more than that, than to be an entrepreneur, you need to study all this. So you need probably to have some.
So some born and some you have to study.
Exactly.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll move to the next phase, and we'll ask 2 or 3 as much time as we have questions. We'll just let whoever from the panel want to answer. Let's talk a little bit about going global. So I think we heard it also in the previous discussions. Everybody today knows Israel is not the market. Do we look just at the US? Should we look more global at other places? Should we look at the Arab market? We'd love to hear your thoughts. We are always so, I would say, focused on US. Maybe we look other places. Father, we'll start with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so we are looking at the American market because
only the American market?
As a first step, okay? Because the culture is more, I've spent a few years, everybody in the team spent something. We have, by the way, Varda spoke about studying as a multidisciplinary team. We work as a multidisciplinary. So I have this guy from cyber and another one technology, and we have a lawyer, and we have, by the way, Team 8 has all the envelope for everybody to get the marketing and legal and biz dev, etc. That's our business. So we were in, I forgot.
No, we're talking about which markets.
So the
will
US.
market, yes.
So we start with the US because it's more homogeneous. When you go to Europe, different languages, different health systems. In the US, you always also have differences, but it's not so extreme, and the market is big. But depends on what you do. So
Asian
we create
market.
companies. So for example, the first company is about employer health. We started in the US because it's easy. Now we spread to other markets. The next one is population health. It's very American. It's value-based care. You can implement it differently. But now we are doing clinical trials, for example, and we take Israel as a market, and we take Europe as a market because it's alike, the markets. So I think you have to think about the market, in which market you're mostly comfortable. We started with the market, and we are ending with the market. It's very important. So that's how we start, but I still hope that we'll do a lot more in Israel. By the way, we always talk about the strength of cyber and 8200, but I think what we have done in healthcare here in Israel is a lot. We have the best value-based care in the world, almost. We are early adapters, so we started with computers earlier. We have made all the mistakes earlier. We have used data earlier. We have a unique ID, so we have interoperability over Israel. So we take all our expertise of the Israeli health market, not only cyber, etc., to implement it in the world. And I think it's very powerful.
Dalia, you want to comment? Yeah.
About the US, so of course there are other important markets, but I think the US gives you like the stamp. And although I'm sure that other countries will never say, oh, you have an FDA clearance, so, it means something, or you are in the US, you have US investors, our chairman was a US-based, Andy Corley, but I do think that once you have an endorsement, I would say, from the US, and never mind in what aspect, everyone knows FDA clearance, right? But it can be in other aspects as well. It's much easier in other markets. So still, the US is the most important one.
So if I go again 10 years earlier, so when I talk with many different, many new CEOs, many new entrepreneurs, starting their work with trying to get to a product, trying to get to markets, etc. So what I see is that it's a little bit difficult for Israeli entrepreneurs to penetrate the US for a few reasons. So I think Israel is, in general, if you try to generalize them, you can't, but if you do that, so they are very good at getting from, let's say, from 0 to 1, on the innovation part, trying to understand the technology and develop it. But when they get to the US, they actually need to cope with a few populations that are foreign to them. So it's first of all the big investors. If you go to big Boston firms, if you talk about pharmaceuticals, but other fields as well. So it's a really different communication style, really different than the local VCs in many cases. There are other populations that you have to work with that are even sometimes more difficult. Is the regulation, it's the payers, and of course the customers, the other customers in the US. So I think a lot of thought, and this is something that is happening now with many, of course also with venture creators and with venture builders. So a lot of efforts need to be put into bridging this gap and helping these new companies, new entrepreneurs get into the US, because there are many challenges there.
Quick comment from you, Mahmoud, and then we'll move to the next question.
Yes. Now, regarding the US, yes, it's a good market, and it's easy, and it's linked to Israel, but still, everyone is going to the US. So the competition is also high. We have Asia and we have Africa, and those markets are not penetrated yet. So regarding the health devices or health treatments, let's give it to those who in need for it, and we have less competition in Africa, for example. We're bridging to Morocco soon, so we're going to have an office in Morocco with the Ministry of Health in Morocco in order to reach the whole Africa. So US is excellent and the FDA is trustworthy. Of course, whoever says that they have an FDA or an investor from the US, it opens different markets to the business. But the next step should be also, I do believe that should be to unpenetrated markets in Asia or Eastern Europe or even Africa.
Okay.
I want to add one thing about the US, just as a follow-up to what you said. When we wanted to go into the US market, I'm not talking now commercialization, I asked our chairman of the medical advisory board, how do I do it? And he's American, Dr. Dick Lindstrom. And he said, you know, you have to connect with, in our case it was Andy Corley, you need someone to take you hand in hand, American, to open the doors for you. And as for Africa and LMIC, low and medium income countries, I agree, but there are challenges. First, you need a viable business model for those countries. It's not easy, reimbursement is very low, so it's more about volume. And there are other regulatory challenges as well.
So that's a big debate, you know, and obviously a very important one. We won't conclude it here. We're running out of time, but we have to end on an optimistic note. So I'm going to ask each of you one sentence. What makes you optimistic about healthcare entrepreneurship in this wonderful neighborhood that we live in? And then we'll start with you and we'll go this way.
Yeah, so what makes you optimistic is joining Tel Aviv University, and I see the huge diversity of different people, creative people that innovate, and they're really minded to go and produce new innovations and new assets that will eventually be used by other people. So this makes me optimistic.
Wonderful. Professor Shalev.
Working with the young generation in Team 8, bright people that want to change the world, I think we are going to make it.
Professor Lieberman.
I find it difficult to be optimistic in these days. So, sorry. But if we find the way to get out of the miserable, like no other expression of the situation, then I believe that healthtech innovation will be the first to bridge and reach out to the neighborhoods, and maybe be, who knows, maybe the dream of Paris of new
Middle East.
New Middle East will come true.
Wonderful. Dalia.
When investors come to me and ask, what would happen? I tell them, listen, it may be even worse. But you work with people. And our people, and I think we saw it in the past 2 horrible years, we have people that are willing to fight for their values. And this is my optimistic angle.
My optimistic angle is looking at the digitalization and the quick innovation in high tech in the last few years. I believe that this is a positive for me, that I know that more solutions would come very quick to the market and help more people in the health sector.
Thank you very much. Healthcare innovation really builds bridges, and I think it is what can make us optimistic. Thank you very, very much for this wonderful panel. Thank you. Pleasure.